What's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday. I'm coming at you live from a random Chick-fil-A in Alabama. I'm driving home from a family outing for the week. Got to see some mountains, go to the aquarium, did some fun stuff. Looks like Kelly, though, is in a pretty cool place and probably one with better Wi-Fi than me. Kel, are you still in Key West, baby? What's up? Nice tan.
I am, and I was supposed to drive home this morning, but I elected to stay here until this afternoon because if both of us were in random parking lots, our show might get canceled. No, all jokes aside, I do have to be back. I have a family coming to visit, but I did decide to stay a couple extra days in Key West. It's been beautiful down here. It rained one day, so I decided to treat myself to an extra day. And of course, yesterday I just got for a ride. So yeah, it was a great day. I'm ready to give my liver a break though and get back home for a whole 24 hours.
Well, I'm happy that you and I are back together as much as I love Rico and Brandon. This is Money Shots. This is our show. This is where the women come and give you your daily dose of gambling advice. Kelly, make sure you're monitoring the chat and the comments because I literally, as I said, I'm in a random Chick-fil-A parking lot and I'm just all over the place. But let's start with the first game. Xavier at St. John's. It's the first game that I took at least. And I took St. John's minus the 1.5. The Xavier team seems like they're kind of on the struggle bus. They've dropped 4 consecutive games, 6 out of the last 7 overall. The last 4 defeats have come by 7+ points. And on the cherry on top, they've lost 3 straight road games. And guess what today is? Another road game. I really think St. John's also needs a little bounce back spot from their loss against DePaul last game. So I'm thinking that they're going to be able to get to this kind of, I don't want to say it's bad, but it's definitely not been on the uptick as far as Xavier's defense. I think the Johnnies are going to be able to get their shots off and take advantage of that not as potent Xavier defense that we've been seeing lately. What do you make of this game?
Yeah, I don't want to touch this game, Megan. This line is stinky. If you remember, maybe it was a couple weeks ago, back in early February, the Xavier team beat Connecticut at home. I was on Xavier. I can't remember if you were. And I thought maybe this team had turned a corner. Wrong. They went out right after, got destroyed by St. John's, lost again to Connecticut, got taken to triple overtime with Providence. And I said, Saturday with Rico, I said, how are you going to not bet against the Xavier team? Seton Hall got the best of them. I'm not sure this team has much left in the tank, and that is my concern here. But as I mentioned, this line looks really stinky. It is begging everyone to take St. John's, and St. John's was a team that you and I were on there for a couple of weeks. They were turning a corner, especially that day as 7.5-point underdogs, getting you the outright win. But since that time, lost to Creighton, lost to DePaul. I don't love this line. I'm not going to take this team, even though I do think that the tempo that St. John's runs as far as offense goes, I'm not sure the Xavier defense is going to be able to keep up with them. We're going to find out, but this is going to be a no play for me.
No play for Kelly. Up next on my card, I have Middle Tennessee State at Charlotte. And this is one of those small games where you probably have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, so I'll run through it quick. But MTSU has been on an impressive run since January. They've covered the number in 8 of their last 10. Listen to this, 25-2 ATS. I mean, does that sound very impressive? Yeah, because it is. It's really fucking impressive. Meanwhile, Charlotte has only covered 4 of 6 while allowing opponents to put up 71.9 points per game. Meanwhile, these two teams have already met, and MTSU has beaten them by 17 in their previous matchup. I know it's hard to beat a team twice, but I really think Middle Tennessee State is the better team on both sides of the ball, so they should be able to cover this very small number on the road. So I like MTSU. Kelly, do you have an opinion, or you want to just keep on going?
No, I'm just mad that I haven't been on the MTSU bandwagon this year. This is why, we talk about on the show that for basketball, the moneymakers are these mid-major schools. This isn't necessarily a mid-major. It's just a smaller basketball school in Conference USA. If this was a football team, I would have been paying attention. So I'm just kind of mad at myself right now that I didn't get to go on that nice run, including 7-0 against the spread. You don't want to step in front of Middle Tennessee right now. It doesn't look like.
So that is either you're going to play Middle Tennessee State or leave it alone?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the play here, Megan. This is a Charlotte team that's just not that good defensively. I think the line looks a little off. Ken Palm makes the game 3, so lean towards Middle Tennessee State with you.
All right, up next, Notre Dame at Florida State. Notre Dame is laying 2. This Florida State team has just been riddled with injuries, continuing to keep out their leading scorers, their top rebounders. And after I tell you that, you wouldn't be surprised to tell you that they haven't covered 9 of their last 10 games, and they're 2-8 straight up. On the flip side, you have this Notre Dame team who's just clinched the 4th seed in the tourney. They're 5-0 on the road, ATS on the road. They're a veteran team, and they're winning by an average of 9.5 points as favorites. So I haven't bet this Notre Dame team a lot. I know that they might not have a ton to play for, so to speak, as they've already locked in their 4 seed. But I feel like as they are veterans, they're not going to take this game lightly. I think they get down there, get the job done. As far as a team that doesn't have much left in the tank, I think the Seminoles are one of those. So I'm going to go ahead and take Notre Dame here, even though it also seems a little stinky.
I definitely think it seems stinky, especially with Florida State somehow pulling off that win over Virginia. Now, Florida State's biggest problem besides their injuries is that they can't defend the 3 ball. So you know how they beat Virginia. Virginia just wasn't hot from 3 that day. You know who is pretty good from 3? This Notre Dame squad. I'm not going to touch it, but if anything, it's a lay it or don't play it situation for me. Again, Florida State, just too many unknowns here, and especially with guys, looking to fill in those spots to earn a starting spot for next year. I think we may not see this team come out flat. They may come up big and string together a couple of wins, but that's not something we've seen them do since January. So going to stay away from this one. And I guess if you're going to bet Florida State here, again, you better hope that Notre Dame doesn't get hot from 3-point land, because otherwise it's going to be game over, similar to what we saw in that Duke game. If you remember, they just banked down 3 after 3 after 3.
All right, up next, a game that I think you were looking at. I don't have a play on, but after looking at it, it almost seems too easy. That's Okey State at Iowa State. And again, these numbers may have changed. This is all from when I was looking at all of these hours ago. But it looks like Iowa State's still laying 4 at home. The initial lean, I was like, maybe Okey State catching 4 points. But you have to question their motivation, because they won't be going into the tournament. And if that's not depressing enough, they just came off an overtime loss to Oklahoma. I will say that Iowa State does have a lot to play for. This is their final game at home, where they're 14-4. So believe that usually last home games generally mean senior nights. I don't know if Iowa State has a ton of seniors, but that could be something that's into play. But look, this Okey State defense, I feel like their perimeter defense is a little sus. Grill should have another really big day from beyond the arc. Iowa State seems like the easy play here. It seems like you lay it with them and you don't look back. But as I said, it seemed too easy, and a lot of my games kind of have felt that way today. So I'm kind of worried about this slate. What do you think and make of this Okey State Iowa State game? Ugh.
You know what's really interesting here is that the Hilton Coliseum used to be one of the best home court advantages in the country, and we haven't really seen Ken Palm really adjust that. I think it should be, because we just haven't seen this Iowa State team play to their full potential, I think, this year. We've seen some moments of greatness, but overall, they have not been as dominant at home as we've seen in the past. This looks like a dead under game, though, Megan. You've got the number 9 defense with Iowa State. You've got the top 15 defense with Oklahoma State. The problem is, and this is the only thing keeping me from taking the over, and I know I don't touch a lot of totals, but when I looked at this, both teams turned the ball over a ton. And if that happens tonight, I think this one's going to be a dead over game. My only problem is offensively, neither team is that great. And I think we do see that as why we have such a low total on this one. But I'm looking towards the over, and if I end up firing, I will definitely tweet it out.
All right, she's looking at the over. I lean Iowa State, but as I said, it seems a little too easy. All right, up next, another one that kind of seemed easy at first glance, A&M at Bama. So my first glance was 9.5. Wow, that's a lot for A&M. And then it moved to 10.5. And I was like, huh? And then it moved back down to 10. And I'm like, what's going on here? Look, A&M's had solid back-to-back games. Like they've had, back-to-back wins. But they haven't played their best conference play, and they haven't played their best ball in conference play. Sorry, I've only had one cup of coffee today, and I really need some more. And obviously, we know that this Alabama team has proven they can literally beat anyone when they are on. So my question is, why is this line the way it is? Like, I know Alabama can get hot from three. I understand that, they have some issues shooting free throws occasionally, which I feel like may come down to the cover here. I can't step in front of Alabama, and I don't know if these last two games for A&M have been fluky or whether they've really been putting it together. What do you make here, Kelly? Because it's just crazy. I feel like they're begging me to take A&M.
Oh, they're definitely begging me to take A&M, Megan, and I might just have to do it. This is an Alabama team you and I have talked about probably more than any other team on the show.
Them and TCU.
Yeah, right? Them and TCU. Seriously, they've been our two teams we've talked about, and I've gotten involved with a lot of Alabama games. And while their offense is prolific and Nate Oates is doing a great job, I don't trust this team because they are too Jekyll and Hyde from three-point land, from the free throw line. This one's going to come down to late free throws. If Alabama makes them, can they get the cover? Sure. I'm looking at this Alabama team going, you know what? They've only covered 4 of their last 20 games. The bookmakers just keep giving them all this extra love. I'm not seeing it. I lean A&M here, but I do kind of wonder if we won't see a 10.5 or 11 over at the Barstool Sportsbook. If we do, I'm definitely going to be on the Aggies.
Yeah, I feel like they're just begging me, but I feel like bookmakers are just as confused about this Alabama team as we are. They can either blow you out or they're going to keep it close. And
this isn't just some slouch A&M defense. While they're not amazing, they're going to slow down that pace because we all know that's what Alabama is going to want to do. They're going to want to run. That's why they have one of the best tempos as far as offense goes in the country. And if they do get hot, A&M will get blown out. I will say this, for the most part, we have not seen A&M get blown out that many times. They've been in a lot of close games outside of every single game basically in 2022 has been a single score game outside of them beating Ole Miss. But as far as their losses go, we're looking at some overtime, close ones against teams like Arkansas. They barely lost to your LSU Tigers. They did have a stinker against South Carolina at home about a month ago. But outside of that, they've been in these games, and I think they're going to be in this game tonight.
That's where I would lean. So I'm leaning A&M, especially if you want to wait on it, because I feel like we might. I saw it. I did see it at 10.5 at one point. Then I know it went back to 10. So I'm not sure what it's at now, but I feel like if you wait on it, you might get the number that you're hoping for. All right, up next, Yukon at Creighton. Creighton was catching 4 at home, and this, in theory, seems like the perfect spot to back them. They've been, fantastic, but so has Yukon, and Yukon kind of seems like they're due for a loss. I didn't look much into this game. Kelly, what do you think about it?
I think Connecticut has been getting way too much love over the last month. I don't understand it, and every time I bet against them, I end up hating myself. So that was going to be kind of one of those moments this morning. I think Dan Hurley is doing a really great job in stores, and that's not up for debate. But this Creighton defense has been good, and so Megan knows how I feel about it. The fact that they just got trounced by Providence on Saturday probably helps this line be a little inflated. Catching points at home with a team that I think is on a fairly even playing field from Connecticut outside of that pace of play. We know that Yukon likes to slow it down. They play similar, I think, to Virginia, and that makes it hard to blow teams out, especially on the road. I lean towards Creighton here. No promises, but I think they're going to make my card.
I was leaning Creighton as well. Every time, I don't think I've ever actually bet on them. I think I've been betting against them, and every time I do, I get burned. But I also feel like as soon as I do go to bet them, especially in this spot, then I might get burned. So I'm just going to stay away. I do lean Creighton plus the 4 at home. I mean, catching 4 with this team that's been just pulling crazy moves left and right, man. I never know what to expect from that team. All right, up next, Auburn at Mississippi State. Mississippi State, I believe, is still catching 3.5 at home. By all means, Auburn should win and cover this game. They're one of the best teams in the entire nation, but they seem to really struggle on the road and in conference play. I mean, they have losses to Arkansas, Florida, Tennessee, and almost lost to the fucking Georgia Bulldogs.
Remember I was on Georgia in that one? I took I think it was 16 points, and it was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
It was a ridiculous game. I think it's probably because they were looking ahead to Arkansas on Tuesday from that Saturday game, but that's just me trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
And again, by all means, this should be a game that Auburn wins and Auburn covers. But Mississippi State, man, their home and away splits have been something crazy. And for whatever reason, they play so well at the hump. I hate to say this, but I guess I lean the Bulldogs here. But as I said, Auburn is one of the best teams in the nation and should go out there and win and cover tonight. But with the issues they're having in conference play, I just don't know how this one's going to turn out. Kelly, where are you putting your money here?
Megan, I you know where I'm going. I'm taking the home dog here, and possibly even going to sprinkle on the money line. I think Mississippi State's defense has just been so great, particularly as you mentioned, at home, allowing only 60 points their last 4 games. They have such a strong game in the backcourt, right? This is 100% what you said. Bet against Auburn on the road, bet on Auburn at home. I know that the whole world's going to want to be on Auburn here because it's Mississippi State, right? They haven't been anything really that special. But as you mentioned, the hump probably deserves a little bit more credit as far as home court advantage. I would put them in probably the top 50. I think they're going to be fired up tonight, especially against a top team like Auburn. Student section should be going absolutely bonkers. I'm going to take the Bulldogs plus the points and, of course, a little sprinkle on that money line.
And I will say that I think I looked, and there is a baseball game, but it's against Southern Miss. Because Brandon Walker, he mentioned something like whenever, and I probably should know that as I also went to Mississippi State for a little while. And I hate to admit that, but that usually whenever there's a baseball game going on, you see literally 40% less people at the basketball games. Obviously, it's beautiful weather. But I think the baseball game is in a neutral site because they're playing Southern Miss and it's only a 3.5 hour drive. I don't know. All I'm saying is I don't think the game's in Starkville. So the turnout should be good. So I don't even have a lean here. I just want to stay away. And I'll pull for you and hope that Mississippi State gets it done for you, Kel. All right, up next, LSU at Arkansas. Arkansas, I believe, is still laying 5.5 at home. And this, by all means, should be a spot where LSU capitalizes. Arkansas is off a hard-fought win, which I should have covered, but I pushed.
I don't want to
complain.
Let's not talk about that. This is a new day.
That was so I fucking hate Kentucky for that
Megan,
shit.
I was sitting on the couch waiting for everybody else to get ready for dinner. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, cool. Going to dribble it out. We got it. Up 5. Arkansas is going to cover. That might have been one of the worst pushes of my life. It felt.
I would agree with that.
I wanted to check my phone across the Airbnb and break the little crappy TV that they have on the wall.
I was right there with you. I was just happy to have had the push, even though it was the probably worst push I've ever had. Really hated.
That felt really, really painful.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
Yeah,
it's absolutely disgusting. And LSU's coming off of a win, giving them some confidence against Missouri. They do have Bama on deck, but Arkansas, in the same token, I believe, has Tennessee on deck. So we got some big games coming up. I would absolutely love, again, to back LSU here. I think they even got down to 5. I don't know what the number is. And it's going to be LSU or pass for me because that's just the girl that I am. And we know Arkansas is a fucking buzzsaw at home. I'm worried about my Tigers. Do I think they can cover? I think they can. I lean that way. But I won't be putting any money on this game. I'm just going to try to figure out some cool merch for March Madness for LSU fans out there and cheer my boys on. Let's go. Tee it up. What do you think, Cal?
Yeah, I think what we've seen is that push was the bookmakers finally nailing down what this Arkansas Razorback team is. And I think that that's why the line is inflated tonight, because Arkansas covering their last 10 games, they're going to keep getting that same support from backers. This is a great LSU defense. We haven't spoken about them that much, particularly since I took South Carolina against them a couple of weeks ago. Apologies for that. I did not think they would actually lose outright, and of course they did. This is a Tigers team that I want to like a lot more, but offensively, they drive me crazy. They turn the ball over so much. And I am tempted to take them here in a case of too many points against an Arkansas team that is definitely overinflated, especially off that nice win over Kentucky. But that was a really hard-fought game. Like you mentioned, they have Tennessee on deck.
So stupid.
I think LSU is ripe for the upset here with that defense. I lean towards under 2. So that does mean obviously points are at a premium. I'm going to give the nod to your Tigers. I'll give it a little tweet if I end up on them.
All right. Nod goes to the Tigers, and I hope the win does too. All right. Up next, Marquette at DePaul. DePaul is catching 2 at home. My immediate thought was, hey, another team that you and I have loved this year, Marquette. I was like, man, thinking about adding Marquette to the card. But, man, DePaul has been on a tear. Last time these teams saw each other was back in January, where Marquette got the win, 87-76. So this DePaul team that's been super fucking scrappy also now has revenge on their mind. They're at home. I'm not going to lie. This is a coin flip game, in my opinion. I'm going to stay away. I wanted to take Marquette just because I've loved betting them. But, man, this DePaul squad has loved to play spoiler to my bank account. So I do not want to touch this game.
Megan, I was on DePaul early last month. I took them against Georgetown, and I thought, okay, great. This team has finally turned a corner. They had put together 2 wins, and then they just dive bombed after that Georgetown win, lost Providence in overtime. As you mentioned, ugly loss to Creighton. Now here they beat up on a pretty good St. John's team that we started the show with. I do lean towards DePaul here and catching the points at home. But, man, this Marquette school has been so good to us. The problem is they fell off real quick. Haven't covered their last
hard
games, and I can't trust them. Slight lean to DePaul here. I thought I was going to get to the window with them, and I may. I like the reverse line movement. Open 2.5 at the Barstool Sportsbook, down to 2. So that tells me somebody agrees with me. But this Marquette team really kind of has a piece of my heart still. And I'm like, all right, I know what's going to happen here. I'm going to bet against them because this is exactly a spot where they should lose this game. And they're going to go out and smoke DePaul. It's going to be that DePaul team that was, back in early January where they just were getting beat by 20 and blown out of the gym before they kind of turned that corner. And I still think they show glimpses of that team, particularly against teams like Creighton and Villanova, other pretty solid Big East schools. And this has been a really solid Marquette team. Maybe this is where Marquette is able to capitalize. So I think I'm going to pass here, but I'm going to keep an eye on it between now and tip-off.
I love that we have the exact same thought about this game. It really, that makes me feel good.
All show. Yesterday we were in lockstep, and I just wanted to, full disclosure, I am never betting against Megan. I always finalize my card before I see Megan's tweets. Almost always. There is nothing here. But it was really funny yesterday because we had a lot of things in lockstep. And, people were texting me, Wisconsin so square. So that was a nice money shots team win, even though we did not collaborate on that.
Yeah, didn't collab, but hey, it doesn't matter. We got the win. Big Cat got the win. I loved the basketball titties. That was fantastic. Although if you and I did basketball titties, probably would go over a little bit more well. But
I'm not sure, actually. We probably wouldn't be allowed inside the arena if we did basketball titties.
That's also very true. And it would have the little air pumps, sticking out. All right, last game on my card. I have Miami -4 at Boston College, and I have absolutely loved backing this Hurricanes team, especially on the road. They're hungry for another win to add to their tourney resume. Meanwhile, Boston College, their hopes to make it in the tourney is they have to win the ACC tourney. Are they going to do that? I don't think so. They've lost the last 6 of 8 last 3 out of 4 home games. They haven't been shooting well. They've been struggling from the free throw. They've been very careless with the ball. Meanwhile, Miami has been doing all of that really well. I love this Miami team. I really do. I'm taking the Canes. This should be the U minus the 4. It should work well in my favor. What do you think, Hill?
Yeah, I don't want to bet this game. This is a Miami team that I've been dead wrong on 3 occasions. I've bet against them 3 times. I am 0-3 this year. I don't want to bet against them here again. This is just not a team that I'm high on. They don't fight for boards. They're one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the country. They do take advantage of turnovers. They have a good offense. Their defense is so atrocious. By all means, I should be making money betting against this team. But I'm not. One of my worst picks of the year was last Tuesday. I took Pittsburgh. I believe the line was about the same, 4.5. I'll cheer for you, Megan, here, but I can't step in front of this Canes team yet again. Unfortunately, that's what I'm known for, is just standing in front of freight trains. But this time I'm not willing to be a martyr and take Boston College. I'm not sold on this Boston College team. As you mentioned, they're not going to the tournament. 11-17 on the year. Just ugly loss to Clemson last Saturday. Do they actually care? Maybe not. This tempo of this Boston College team is just so slow and so boring. Miami should be able to capitalize.
All right. I agree wholeheartedly. Any other plays you want to talk about? Anything else that you want to put out?
No, I'm going to see if I can't find that third dog. Should have known USC was going to just be an absolute stinker last night and not even make it competitive for the 3-team money line parlay. But I'm going to look for a third dog tonight. As I mentioned, I'll tweet that out. It will not be in the exclusive tabs because I have to get that to Jack a lot earlier than when the show starts, but it'll be just for fun. You guys can manually bet it at the Barstool Sportsbook.
All right. So look for Kelly's picks out in a tweet. Mine are already out. Make sure you're doing your own research. I'm about to go in and grab a spicy chicken sandwich and hit the road. Get back down to Louisiana because, as I was telling Kelly and Jack before the show, I get to see Mincy tomorrow. We're going to go do whatever it is that Mincy wants to do. We're taking the sports book to the people of Louisiana. So I'll see him tomorrow. Maybe if you're from Louisiana, I'll see you too. But don't comment about the bags under my eyes because, again, I am driving 11 hours. As I said, I'm at a Chick-fil-A. My kids are probably driving my husband insane. He's definitely taken one for the team. Thank you, husband. Shout out. I love you. If you could order me that spicy chicken sandwich now if you're listening. All right. We'll see y'all on Saturday morning for our Saturday tip show from Money Shots.